Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hey folks, Mike here, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different today, and so I'm not using my standard setup, and I'm going to try to keep the camera shake down to a minimum, but I am hand-holding a phone, because I'm going to be going all around, because we're testing today extreme Post-it notes. Look how extreme these notes are. They've got it stuck to metal, hot, cold, brick, wood. It can get wet. So firstly, these are kind of odd. They're not really your standard Post-it notes. They come in some nice colors and that sort of thing, and they look pretty much like regular Post-it notes, but they feel different. They have a texture to them, which I believe you can see there. It's kind of wavy. And the other thing about them is that they are very, very thin. I mean, you can see my fingers through the back. And in fact, if you look at, here's one I've had stuck on some wood for a while. I mean, regular Post-it notes stick here too, so this isn't really a very good test. But this is what they look like by themselves. And actually, they look a little bit, like it's weird because you can see through them. There's these dark and light patches. This is written on here with a Fisher Space Pen, which seems to be the sort of thing you would write on an extreme Post-it note with. And you can see through the back. This is not a, like they're not that dense. This didn't bleed, but you can totally see through it. So just keep that in mind. This is still very, very sticky. They have good glue on these things. As you can hear, I'm gonna stick this back up here where it belongs. Right there. And so let's go outside and test these things a little bit and see them in different conditions and that sort of jazz. Okay, so the first place I put this was on some glass. This seems like a pretty easy test, except that we are in my backyard. As you can see here, there's a scraggly dog there sniffing the breeze. This is on some, like the doors going out to my back patio and such, and these have been here since, as it shows here, the 3rd, or actually, you know what, I put these on the 4th. I wrote these out on the 3rd, and then I totally forgot to put them outside. So these have been outside since 7/4, which is 8 days ago, so over a week. In that time, we've had pretty major thunderstorms. It's been like 100 degrees. There's this bug. It's been very windy at times. It's currently like 86, and it feels like 60% humidity out here right now, and this has no problem holding onto this window. It's bonded on pretty well, and there's no stickiness left over. So also, I didn't clean this window before I put it up, so it's got, like, you know, regular outdoor dust and that sort of thing, and that's stuck right back as it would. So as you can see here, definitely the Sharpie lasted the best. Sailor Kiwaguro, this is from a fountain pen, and Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon, also from a fountain pen. This one is interesting because it doesn't really have any water resistance, but you can still read that, I think. Kiwaguro did pretty well, although not perfectly. Fisher Space Pen and the Sharpie obviously did the best. These others have faded in the sun. I do get full sun out here for a portion of the afternoon, so several hours a day for a week has not done anything to really the Sharpie or the Fisher Space Pen. The rest of these have suffered a little bit. So, and also the High-Tech C Coletto, man, almost totally gone. So anyway, there it is on some glass. Let's go and look at some PVC fence. Okay, so I also stuck it to this PVC fence right here, as you can see. This is on the 4th as well. The note itself has faded a little bit. You can see through it. This has been out in direct weather, obviously. Nothing above it or what have you. And it is stuck on really well, and it re-sticks very well. This is good glue, man. But you can see it's sort of faded around the edges. It's stopping, it's like the yellow's coming off, basically. But the Sharpie I wrote this with is still good. Still there. Let's go over here to where it was on the brick. And the only place I have brick really is down here along the curtain of my house, and here is the one that came off the brick. I put this on the same day, and then we had a massive thunderstorm, and the next day, instead of like the next morning, it was off. But it was laying on the ground, and actually it's still sticky enough that you can put it back on the bricks. The whole thing sticks pretty well. So it's not gonna do well on this brick here, and I think the rain might have washed some of the stickiness away. You can see there's some brick dust actually up here in the and the glue, but it didn't stick on the brick very well, so I don't know about bricks. It's a very uneven surface, it's a little bit gritty, and I didn't wash it or anything before I put it on there. It could have been done, I mean, I guess I could have cared about it more, but I didn't. So let's go see it on some wood. Alright, so I don't have a whole lot of wood on my house either. It's mostly this like vinyl siding stuff, but I do have some painted wood, and I put this on the inside here, because I've got a couple that are sort of out and about. This one is on some painted wood, again, 7-4. We have here's a bumblebee getting some pollens. But it's stuck to this painted wood, no problem. Take it off, stick it back on. Seems to hold on pretty well, so good job. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this here just to see how long it sticks around, but it doesn't show any sign of going away. Okay, so now for some sort of direct testing. I'm gonna take, and Scraggles is not gonna like this bit, I'm gonna take a fresh Post-it note, stick it here. Again, I haven't washed this. You can see a little bit of like dust and outside grime and stuff. And let's go ahead and write some stuff on here. Hold on one sec. Okay, we'll call this the water spray test. And I'm gonna blast it with my hose for a little bit and just kind of see what happens. Come on, come off. No dice. I think these are stuck here for a pretty good amount of time. I blasted them for a while, pretty hard from fairly close. Yeah, so Sharpie's still there. That didn't come off, so it works as paper. I couldn't blast them off the fence. This one came, well, that's the one I took off actually. Let's see how the adhesive on this one looks. Pretty much straight across the board, so pretty good. Let's go ahead and try to stick one to a wet surface just for grins, because you're not supposed to be able to do that, but let's go ahead and see. It's a fresh pocket of these. And here we go. This is the PVC I just sprayed. Yeah, so don't stick it to wet stuff. It actually says on the pack, don't stick to wet stuff. Dry a surface and then do it. So I just dry it off a little bit with my hands. You can see actually there's a little bit of, I didn't wash my fence is what I'm learning here. Yeah, if you dry it off even a little bit, and I just sort of push the water off of it, it holds pretty good. And I think actually if we let that stay there, it'll stick for a while. We'll see how it goes. I'll leave it there and we'll come back. Okay, this next test is a little bit silly. However, somebody said you gotta use fire, so I'm gonna. I have no doubt that this is gonna burn. Ooh, I've got myself a pot of water to throw it in, but it does have this like weird plasticky feel, so I'm kind of interested in what it does when you light it on fire. So let's go ahead and burn it. It's a little bit breezy out here, but my windproof lighter. There we go. Oh, interesting. There, finally got. Look at it go, though. It's really, that is smoky AF. And it started like melting. You can see it like coming apart melty style. Go ahead and stick that in the water. There we go. There's the burnt one. Stick it over here. Does it still stick? Yes. Yes, it does. All right, let's try that with a regular Post-it note just to see what it looks like. All right, so standard Post-it note versus fire. Whoa, what the? Yeah, much more like a paper. Once it starts going, it really goes. we go. So, does it do fire? Yeah, it does, but it also burns very strangely. I mean, it comes apart after it's burned, and it stretches like it's plastic. I'm not even sure if this is really paper. Oh, it looks a little bit fibrous. There's like soot all over my hands, which is not surprising, I suppose. Yeah, well, anyway, there you go. Fire. Oh, there's a little bit of oily residue in the surface there. Man, all kinds of strangeness. All right, so for this next one, I was asked to see how it did with a really dusty surface. I'm like, where have I got dust? Everything's impeccable. Well, I've got it in my vacuum cleaner. This is dust and cat hair, flotsam and jetsam. There's a fortune cookie fortune in there. And so I'm going to throw this on the fence, which is not exactly clean, and then we'll try to stick Post-it notes to it. So, all right, properly gross. So let's start sticking Post-it notes to that. This is the extreme. Oops, wrong pen. This pen is not extreme enough. Keep pulling out the same pen. There we go. Actually adheres pretty well. Good job, extreme. Let's see how the super sticky does. Super sticky. Super sticky is actually doing better than I thought it would, but this extreme one is definitely better. Holds stronger. I don't think this just kind of peels off. This one you have to give some force to, and you can hear it like coming unstuck. So we'll see how it goes. And sorry, floor trash. You're just gonna stay out here for now. What are you doing, Mike? Go back inside. Okay, so I have a whole list of things that I need to do to this Post-it notes, this set of Post-it notes. Here they are. These were some of them I thought of myself. Some of them were given to me by the Slack folks. And next here is sticking it to a whiteboard over and over. So you might be using these Post-it notes. I just peeled this off the pack. You might be using these Post-it notes in meetings or whatever. Maybe you're doing boards with them, and you might be switching them back and forth and all that sort of jazz. And here's the thing about these, as I'll show you later, you don't want to put them on paper because they will wreck it. But if you're using a whiteboard or something, maybe you have a grid and you're putting these in different categories, it matters how well they do there. So it obviously does just fine there. The other thing is, as I told you, remember, this is thin. You can read this perfectly through the Post-it note. So I guess that could be a pro or a con. If you're putting it over things, it might be more difficult to read the text on the note as opposed to the text on the board. Well, let's go ahead and take this off, put it back up there. It doesn't come off very easily. You just have to peel it each time. Like that. May have had a little bit of a snafu there. So here's the thing: these Post-it notes appear to have a stronger adhesion than my command adhesive Velcro things, and it pulled the Velcro off the wall. So be careful with that. I'm going to be a little more careful with that, how I pull it off, to peel it and not just pull it straight off, because that destroys everything. Yeah, it seems like it's doing just fine. It's not really losing any stick. It doesn't feel like it's making this sticky either. So I think you're good for lots of sticks on this one. It is coming off a little bit easier, but it is picking up some of the dry erase. But you know, no problem really. Seems like it's still working. So yeah, lots of sticks. Still seems like it's holding on just fine. It did. I mean, it is getting a little bit easier to take it on and off, but it's in no danger of peeling itself off. You can see it's actually still moving the board a bit. So yeah, I think these are perfectly usable for this method, or for this use. I mean, eventually you might have to switch to a new Post-it note, but let's go ahead and try it against a regular Post-it note. And actually, these are super sticky. just regular Post-it notes. I don't even know if they sell regular amount of sticky anymore. Let's see, how does this work? Whoa, I just lost the TARDIS over here. I don't know. For the whiteboard use, it seems like the super sticky is probably just as good as the extreme, and you can't really see through the super sticky the same way you can with the extreme. So that could be a point in favor of the super sticky. The super sticky seems like it's doing pretty well. I haven't put it up here nearly as many times as the other. But nonetheless, it seems like it's adhering pretty well. Let's see, can I poke that back? Yeah, I can. So, I don't know. I think maybe for the whiteboard thing, I think the super sticky is doing just fine. It doesn't seem to be losing its stick any faster, really, than this one. And it does seem like this is better because it's not as transparent or see-through. I guess translucent? Translucent. Although damn near transparent. So, you know, pick your poison, but super sticky, pretty darn good still. Okay, so another thing that they wanted me to test was how does it work after you step on it? Like stick it on something and then, I don't know, presume it falls off, or you drop it and you step on it and you put it back. So I'm going to try that with each of these. Let's go and stick these to my fridge. This is a stainless steel fridge. Ought to be pretty good for stuff sticking to it. Seems good so far. Take these off, drop them on the floor. Step on them. Let's put them sticky side up for testing. Both of them stuck to my shoe, but will they stick to the fridge? Super sticky, sticks to the fridge. You can see this one has like floor flotsam and shoe flotsam, or jetsam, or however those go. Both of them re-stick actually pretty well. So, I mean, again, this one looks like it's going to come up a little bit at the corner or something, perhaps. It's got a little piece of bark or something, probably from the mulch I was just walking in outside. Both of them work pretty well. So, you know, good job. Okay, so next we're here in my bathroom, and somebody wanted to know if I could write on it underwater. So I think the best thing to do is I'm going to write something. I'm going to pour some water over it. We know that it can withstand water, but then I'm going to try to write underneath the water. So and this is just a regular old Fisher Space pen. So we'll see how it goes. Put that there. I will put this is as I was using before, a super sticky note next to it, pre-water. And I think actually Sharpie might be the thing to write on these with, just because it seems like it stands out, or it shows up better against this like very translucent note. As you can see, it's also shiny. Can you see the shine off that? I'm not certain what they've done with this, but it's definitely got some polymer infusion or something going on. It doesn't really feel like a Post-it note either. And actually, as you can see, it actually does stick to this cutting board better than the super sticky, which is keeps wanting to peel up at a corner. And it's just barely holding on. With this one, this one's a little bit, no, it seems fine. It's not peeling up on its own volition as like this one is. But let's see how it goes underwater. Yeah, it worked actually pretty well. And also, this worked pretty well. So good job, Space Pen. Underwater. This worked just fine, except that this just started coming off as soon as water got near it. And it's only sticking because of surface tension right now. The sticky is entirely defeated. That's interesting. Or as I can take this off. And the sticky, not entirely defeated, although it doesn't like to stick to a wet surface. I bet, I don't know, once you get this sticky wet, it might not be too great. Let's put it on a dry surface right quick and just see what happens. I'll flip this over. Ooh, you get that glue wet. Nothing. Junk. So if you put it on a dry surface, you can blast water at it all day. If you get it wet though and then try to stick it, man, forget about it. This doesn't even feel sticky anymore. Let's let this dry and see if the stickiness comes back, because the one that was on the bricks was in the rain and it's still sticky now. So in fact, I've got it in my pocket, I think. I don't have it in my pocket. One sec. Okay, so this is also not the best thing to stick it to, because this plastic is already a little bit dicey, but the sticky came back. Let's see if it works on a mirror. It's not great. Here's what I'm wearing today. It's great, right? Yeah, it's not, the sticky isn't entirely gone, but it's not great. It feels a little bit tacky, but it doesn't want to stick to stuff, which is kind of weird. Anyway, once you get the sticky wet, all bets are off, man. Okay, here we are back in the lab, aka my bathroom. This is one of the ones that was asked for, and I'm not sure what I'm expecting here, but this is just 100% pure acetone. There we go. Stole this from my wife. 100% maximum strength nail polish remover. Let me just take this seal off. It's actually brand new. Sorry, hon. I hope that's okay. There. All right, I'm gonna pour a little bit in the bottom of this. Right here, we don't need much. I'm gonna see what happens, because I mean this one's paper, and so nothing's gonna happen to it. But acetone tends to eat plastic, and so let's put that in there. Yeah, not a whole lot. Let's put the sticky side in there. Although we already know that being wet destroys the wet destroys the sticky immediately on this guy. Nothing. All right, let's see what happens when I put this in acetone. Maybe it melts. Huh. It's definitely making the Sharpie run. Pro tip, you want to get rid of some Sharpie, use acetone, man. I don't have ethanol here. Also, I was asked to autoclave it. I have no access to an autoclave anymore. It's not melting. Whew, that acetone smell. Good stuff. Now let's go ahead and stick it to some stuff. Sticks just fine. Is it melting? No, it's just got that smooth feeling you get from acetone. It does tear like paper or whatever, but that's not new. I don't know, it doesn't seem like the acetone, and actually the back of this is dry. Like the acetone's not penetrating. This one's already dried out because acetone evaporates mad quick. But it's laying that over there. It's not penetrating to the back of the sheet, which is interesting. I don't know, man. These are pretty extreme. So I'm just going to throw that in there to see what happens. I'll report back if something wild goes on. Whew. Now I'm going to evacuate this room because it smells like acetone. Okay, and last, let's see if we can cut it. This, as I said, is kind of an odd material, and it doesn't say on the packaging what it's made of. Just says all rights reserved, Durahold in the color canary yellow, U.S. with globally sourced materials. I don't know what it is exactly, so let's go ahead and see how it cuts. I haven't tried cutting this stuff before. Let's go ahead and mark on here. This is extreme. Okay, cool. I'm gonna use the green one just because I haven't used that one yet. Oh, and I should say, I didn't show you the back of that sheet with all the rest of the inks on it, but actually Sharpie doesn't really show through any more than ballpoint does. So there's not really any point in doing that, and if Sharpie's not gonna bleed through it, then fountain pen ink isn't gonna bleed through it, and in fact didn't because I've written out with fountain pen ink, but this Sharpie doesn't go through. It does, of course, show through the other side. But that's because this stuff is mad thin, as we've seen before. So everything shows through. They're almost transparent. You almost see my fingers through this stuff. So let's see how it cuts. This is my dullest knife. This is from my buddy Mike on Slack. This is a Spyderco Pingo. I've done a little bit of sharpening on it, not much though. Like, I'm not scared of this knife. It's pretty dull, and in fact, it's not cutting this at all. Definitely this isn't going to work. Just nothing. no, it's not cutting at all. So this knife, which is not exactly super dull, but dull enough it won't cut this. This one's sharper. Sketch that on film. Shunk. This is a Ryuki that my friend Tony gave me, which is fun. And it doesn't do this either. Not because it's not sharp, but because this paper just, or this weird rubbery plasticky paper stuff just doesn't give it any bite. Like when it finally got a wrinkle in there, it cut it actually pretty well. And then cutting it here, no problem at all, because it's actually a pretty sharp knife. I'll set this aside. This is my personal favorite, my Spyderco Paramilitary Two. And this one slices like nothing because this thing is mad sharp. Doesn't even get a chance to bend out of the way before it starts getting cut. So, you know, when you have a real sharp knife, it makes a big difference. And of course, scissors. These are my big old scissors, my Klaus Extreme Edge. See, they're extreme edge and they're titanium. So, has no problem cutting it. You can make confetti out of this pretty easily. You get into a bunch of like little sticky bits, actually, that will stick to probably everything. But like if you can see this cross section, there's no, and this is actually right through one of the Sharpie bits. Let's go ahead and do some more scribbling up to the edge there. It doesn't seem like it bleeds through at all. Like it doesn't get into the paper, which is interesting. So whatever you write on this with, it's just gonna sit on top. So I don't know, real wet stuff. The gel obviously didn't permeate with the Coletto. Some of the other ballpoints didn't fare super well. The Fisher Space Pen fared pretty well, and the Sharpie fares really well. But that's just because they dry on top of the paper or whatever the stuff is. And I remember when we burned it, you had that thick, oily black smoke, and you had it sort of like burning off and looking like plastic. I think this has got to be permeated, kind of like that Right in the Rain stuff, which I don't have any of, or I would do, I would burn some of that and see what happened. But these are really interesting Post-it notes. Oh, paper. Let's try it on some paper. Okay, so I have two different papers here. This one is wheat straw from Step Forward paper. I went ahead and got like a ream of case of this stuff. So we'll try it on that. Let me stick some here. Now it says on the packaging, don't stick it to fragile things like paper, and that's why I haven't showed you on my interior house paint. It doesn't seem to have torn the paint off of my deck, but or my porch railing, but that's also why I put it there and not on the part that shows to the public, because I didn't want it to risk tearing the paint off, because this stuff does stick to paper really hard. I'm gonna let it sit for a second, but it says on here, not recommended for use on paper and delicate surfaces. Apply to dry surface to hold in wet conditions. And all of that seems to hold true. The last time I did this Posted Extreme stuff actually did tear the paper. So when I tried to take it off. So let's see how it goes. This Second Nature paper is pretty thin, cheesy stuff, while this wheat straw is pretty thick and feels sturdy. They're very different grades of paper. So let's see how this... No, it didn't tear the paper. It did tear my 20-pound office bond. Let's see how it does with this. Some definite roughening of the paper, but it didn't actually tear it. Can I make it tear it? It's not tearing it this time. The video that I looked at this in when I first got it was a live stream, and it did tear the paper, so it's not tearing the wheat straw. Second Nature is holding up okay. Oh, actually, that time I did get a little bit of like pull up. You can see here where these like little black spots are. This is some paper that is seriously roughed up and abused a bit, but not a ton of damage. So that's nice. If you put it on some paper, maybe it'll survive. But I would say don't put this on paper. Even though I haven't been able to replicate it here, I have seen it tear paper before. You might just have to take my word for it. So heed their warnings. But anywho, so there you go. So this has been Posted Extreme Notes. They do stick in tough conditions. I didn't try it on any metal because I don't have any of that around that would be outside. As you can see, I have PVC fencing and all that jazz. So yeah, is it extreme? Yeah, it's fairly extreme. It's not the same material as regular Post-it notes. The glue is definitely better. I'm gonna skip some tests, like putting it on, like using it on like oily surfaces. Even though I have some motor oil type stuff sitting around, you get it wet and it doesn't stick. So if you get oil on it, there's no way, it's just gonna fail that immediately. So it's not worth the setup, frankly, and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this, putting the Post-it notes through some extreme stuff. You can find these at stores all over the place, like Walmart or whatever. I got these at Target, and I think it was about, I don't know, $4, maybe $5 for this pack of three Post-it note decks, 45 sheets each. So not super cheap, but not crazy expensive either. And I think that these would be useful in a lot of situations where you want something to stick around on weird surfaces or outdoors or whatever for a while. But do be careful on delicate stuff. Maybe don't put it on your interior paint unless you have like good interior paint. Mine's like crappy contractor stuff. Or don't put it on paper, although this seems to be doing okay. It feels rough, but looks okay. So anyway, there you go. This has been Post-it Notes Extreme. Peace out. See you later.